Today, we are talking about healing and when are we actually healing and when are we doing something that is actually more self-sacrifice and self-sabotage and moving away from who we actually are in order to meet the expectations of other people. And so I have my notes in front of me. So if you see me looking down, you'll know that that is what I'm doing as I'm going through my notes. It's just to keep me on track because if you know me, I'll blabble on forever. Okay, so let's get started. So am I changing because I genuinely have something to change? I need to change something in my behavior, or am I healing so that I can become more acceptable to someone else? This is something that I really struggled with. I struggle with people pleasing tendencies. It's my go to thing to do. uh, in panic, people please. And so I've worked very hard in I'd say the last 3 to 4, maybe 5 years on all the patterns that arise from this behavior. And we often find that the same things are connected to each other. Something doesn't just pop up, they're all a bit connected. And so if you start working on another thing, it's sort of like dominoes falling. The one thing will lead to the next, the lead to the next in your healing process. And this was really a big one for me. Am I healing because it's a negative trait in me that needs to go? It's not serving me. Or am I changing myself so that other people will find me more palatable and they can be more comfortable around me because who I am naturally, they feel offended by. And so, when do I know someone is calling out my poor behavior? Or when is someone just needing me to change so that they are more comfortable with themselves? And so the question that you need to ask yourself is my behavior harmful? And especially if more than one person brings up the behavior, then you know this is a pattern and more than one person is noticing it. And that means that you need to change. Okay, or where do you need to say, well, this is actually who I am, and a certain type of people finds this trait irritating, and I can accept their irritation. I don't need to change in order to minimize irritation. I need to change in order to minimize harm. And I think those two things are quite important. The other side of the coin is some people just say, well, this is who I am. And they don't want to change their bad behavior. They use this, well, this is who I authentically am, as a cop out or an excuse to avoid responsibility and accountability. And the moment you're avoiding responsibility and accountability, you're on the wrong track. Okay. If who you are repeatedly hurts others, you can't expect them to accept you for who you are if who you are is very hurtful and insensitive. A good person should be willing to change when they cause harm. So this is very important. You can really take a lot of tasks off of your desk and your plate if you just can distinguish between what should I actually change and what should I embrace. So if it's harmful, change. If it is an inconvenience to others, you do you. Okay, so we're going to look at a couple of sections, and under them I have some questions or some things to think about, or maybe some things that needs to inform you. So first we're going to look at when change is genuinely healing. So when change is genuinely healing is that I feel more like myself, not less like myself. The moment you start feeling less like yourself, you are giving up your positive traits, the things that give you joy, the things that make you bloom, the things that make you feel alive. Okay, so you shouldn't sacrifice that. So the more you feel, I have natural joy, I have happiness, this life just radiates out of me, then you know you are healing and you're going in the right direction. I feel like I am coming home to myself. This, I think, is so beautiful. You feel more peaceful and more joy. Your boundaries become clearer, not to other people, to you. You know what is okay and what is not okay. You know how you will allow people to treat you now and in the future, the more you come home to yourself. You are able to take responsibility for your behavior. This is a big, big, big one. We see a lot of defensiveness going around. And It's a natural instinct sometimes to get defensive. If you look at my red flags in relationships, I talk about the four horsemen that was discovered and talked about by the Gottman Institute. And defensiveness is one of the four things that creates toxic relationships. Now, before we find the defensiveness in other people, we first need to find the defensiveness in ourselves. And if there's a defensiveness in you, there will probably be a lack of responsibility and accountability. Change benefits all. So if you are healing, then the change that you are making will bring you closer to yourself, so it will benefit you, but it will also bear fruit in your relationships. Healing is small, actionable changes, and it makes a meaningful difference. If people ask you to make these big changes and to let go of these big things, often they're just not doable, they're overwhelming. So healing is small steps, little by little, step by step, you're taking in the land. So it's not one big leap. Often it is the small changes, the day-to-day consistent behavior that you are changing that brings healing to you. Okay, the next section we are looking at is, when am I changing to meet expectations? Am I changing good or harmful parts of myself? I recently spoke to a client who had someone in their life who really expected them to let go of their sensitivity, their emotional intuitiveness to themselves. So this person said something that hurt their feelings, and the person's advice was, well, I'm never going to stop being insensitive, so you better get rid of this sensitivity of yours. Don't shut off your feelings so that I don't hurt you. And I mean, that's not a good embrace who you are and you have to change example that we have. This is a problem. We can't expect people to change while we expect them to accept us as who we are. Am I suppressing my personality, my needs, or my preferences? So any suppression of your needs is not a good sign. Am I self-abandoning to preserve the attachment? This is something I really, really struggle with in life. And I've realized more people than I realize do struggle with this, where we are happy to abandon our needs, abandon our preferences, abandon our personality, abandon our values, abandon our truth, just to hold on to a person or a relationship or a friendship or a family member. Will do almost anything. And that's not a good thing to do. We need to be able to embrace ourselves. And if people don't embrace us alongside us, then it's okay to set them free and to let them go. You need to ask yourself, is the goal to make someone else more comfortable? The focus is on becoming healthier, okay? So if your behavior is bad, then become healthy. But we are not responsible for the comfort and discomfort of other people. That is our own job to fix. So don't make yourself tired by changing and constantly thinking and filtering everything and doing everything. And, oh, might upset them, and this might upset them, and this might upset them. So I let go of this, and that. And in the end, it's just all for comfort. Okay, so make sure that you spend your energy on healthy healing and not on someone else's comfort. It becomes easier for that person to control me and the narrative if I don't have a me. Okay, so if I'm okay with self-abandoning, why do I expect them to not abandon me? Because I'm doing it to myself. Okay, no matter how much change, it will never be enough. I think this is such a good thing. Maya Angelou says that people will pick the skin right off you, and then they will start picking your hair. And if you think, those are the things that make you beautiful, is your skin and your hair is really something that makes each and every one of us unique and beautiful. And she said that if someone comes and they have they don't tell you what you do that irritates or bothers them, and then you are in front of people and they say, "Ooh, but Natalia does this, and this," and they pick a bit of your skin off you. And she says if you allow them to do that, they'll keep picking at you and picking at you and picking at you. And this is something all of us do. I do this. I've really had to confront this in myself and to say, if you have something to say it in private where you don't pick the skin off of someone, number one. And number two, no matter how much you allow them to pick at you, they'll keep picking until there's none of you left. So just embrace yourself and be okay with who you are. The next section I want to look at is boundaries. Healthy healing makes it safer for me to say, these are my boundaries. The more you become yourself, the more you accept that these are the things that I'm okay with, and these are the things that I'm not okay with. And you need to keep your boundaries, but we'll get to that now. The way you communicate your boundaries matter. A valid boundary can still be communicated badly. Don't expect people to celebrate your boundaries if you shout them at someone or you are angry because someone crossed the boundary that they were unaware of, and so you project all of this anger onto someone else. Don't expect people to celebrate your boundaries if you have a very bad way of communicating them to people. Boundaries need to be set in love and in peace, but firmness. Okay, you can be firm in your boundaries. Rude or aggressive behavior can't be celebrated. So make sure that you're not rude and aggressive when you put your boundaries down. And then here's the important part. Your boundaries are not another person's responsibility to maintain. They're your responsibility. You need to say, listen, I don't like it if you do this. You tell people twice, maybe. You say, I don't like it when you do this. And by the third time, there needs to be some sort of a consequence for stepping over a boundary, whether it is just saying, listen, I've told you this time and that time. This is the third time. This is not okay for me. So I think, we need to take some space, or you need to go think, if you want to be in my life, these are my boundaries. If you don't want to be in my life, then please go live a free life somewhere else, or whatever it is. Sometimes it's just sharing information where you say, listen, I don't want to hear this. And someone keeps telling you something that you don't want to hear, and you just keep saying, I don't want to hear it. But it's your responsibility, even if the other person is aware of your boundary. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to move my legs. Even if another person is aware of your boundary, it's not their job to maintain your boundary. That is your job. My responsibility to communicate and uphold my boundaries. So we can't remember everyone to remember all of our boundaries. We sometimes have to communicate them more than once, and that's totally okay. That doesn't mean the other person doesn't care. It just means they also have a busy life. The next thing I want to talk about is what anger can show me, because a lot of us become angry because we become frustrated, but we don't know what the anger actually tells us and shows us about our internal environment. So anger shows us that a boundary has been crossed. That anger we think is at the person who's crossed the boundary. The truth is more often than not, that anger is actually towards ourselves, because we allow people to cross our boundary over and over again without consequence. And so our self-abandonment to preserve connection is actually the cause of your anger. We value the attachment more than we value ourselves. And so take responsibility for your boundaries and your anger that you display, and choose differently next time. Okay, the next section I want to look at is healthy self-sacrifice, or healthy sacrifice, not self-sacrifice, just healthy sacrifice versus self-sacrifice. Relationships require compromise. Okay, I want to go to this restaurant, but you want to go to that restaurant. So today we pick yours and the next time we'll pick mine. That is a compromise. We can't always get what we want. That's not how relationships work. That's narcissism and selfishness. Okay, so we need to compromise where we can, but we cannot surrender our ideals, our whole truth, our efforts, our values. We need to live a life where we can be ourselves and someone enjoys us and celebrates us and has awe of us. If I think of my friends, and and I think, oh, this one has overcome this and this, and I'm so proud of it. This one has done this and this, and she's come so far, I'm so proud of her. And I enjoy them. I enjoy being around them. I even enjoy the parts that they don't like about themselves. And so I would never ask them to give up like a healthy part of them for me. Okay, so we need to realize we cannot surrender our dignity, our identity, our healthy characteristics, our fundamental needs, and our authentic self. That's never things that we sacrifice for another, because that becomes self-sacrifice, and that's never something that's good. Signs I am losing myself. Okay, if you've watched the 5 reasons we lose ourselves in relationships on the YouTube channel, you'll see there will be some lap over here. If you haven't watched it yet, I'd suggest you go watch that. That's a very good video. Okay, signs that I'm losing myself. I have anger, resentment. I'm frustrated because my change and my efforts, they just never are enough. I'm stressed and anxious. I constantly monitor myself. Can I say this? When do I say this? Can I do this? Can I do that? Will it upset them? Is this a good day to bring up something that I really need or something that's important to me? Is it okay for me to go there and do that? When you're constantly monitoring, you have lost yourself. A deep, deep, deep exhaustion. When you feel that you've moved away from yourself, and when you have these thoughts, when will they see what I have sacrificed for them? Then you know you've lost yourself in this connection. And unfortunately, they will never see, because you've kept quiet for so long that they don't even know. They will never be aware of the self-sacrifices that you've made. And it's also, I mean, not really their responsibility, because you chose to self-sacrifice, okay? You'll have some self-doubt and a lot of self-abandonment. Okay, so signs that you are actually healing and you are doing the thing that you should be doing is you'll have peace, joy, responsibility and accountability, better boundaries without guilt, clear actions, so those small actionable changes that I spoke about, and it feels like coming home. Okay, and then we're going to end off. Healing is not a buzzword for endless correction. It is a call to action. So your final questions are, is the change correcting harmful behavior? Is the change bringing me closer to myself or moving me further away from myself? Am I becoming more loving and responsible, or simply more acceptable to someone else who is just uncomfortable with the truth that I am mirroring for them in the relationship? I really hope that you enjoyed this video. These are things that I've learned in the last couple of years, and I really hope that it helped you. Have a lovely day.
Please feel free to leave a comment. If you like this video, click the like button. Remember to subscribe to our channel and don't forget to ring the bell.